I got out of the Army paid my way. And then I had a conflict there, the same kind of conflict that's really affecting Alaska. I'm going to tell you a story that's really sad. There was a farmer in the 70s, and I'm not from Utah, but there was a farmer in the 70s living there, and he was a member of an organization, and they started persecuting him. And anyway, I was on the dean's list, and there was a big sorority meeting, and these people were bragging about something, and I was listening to them, and this farmer named John Singer, he was killed. Well, I didn't think much of it, but then they started talking about how he was an enemy to their, we got to be careful on YouTube, to their political body. And then how the judge had told the sheriff and everything. Well, what I know about the thing was really simple. The man was going up to get his mail from his mailbox, and he was under a lot of media attention and everything. He wanted to be left alone. In his belief, he lived in the old style, and he wouldn't modify it to the new changes in his belief, and they hated him because he wouldn't change. Anyway, so when he's getting his mail, he turned around, and his wife was scared to death. The law enforcement officer killed him. And when I was going to college, I'm a hothead veteran, and I got out of the Army. I wasn't very happy with what was happening with my country, so I was kind of a vocal guy, because we should have done a lot of things we did. The people needed to be free, in my opinion, and when I was in the service. But anyway, so then I got mad, and I jumped up and I hollered at them. I says, I'm the only one talking like that. I says, do you really think that Jesus would have you go kill somebody to protect him? I says, you guys are wacko. You know what? I says, you're missing something up here. I says, I quit. And I walked off that college and I never went back. And then when I got in Alaska, and all these troubles are following you wherever you go, seems like sometimes. But I want to tell you something. The peacemaker is going to inherit the earth. And if you're loving and kind, and you are mature and responsible, then you're living a good life the way that you should. And God is forgiving and full of grace and love. And when people get on a conquering quest for power and for building things, that is not His way. His way is not that way. That's the way of the end times. In the end times, it talks about all these things come about. It talks about false prophecies, and it talks about all these terrible wars and things. Well, they're here today. Now, I didn't make this channel to come around here and tell you what to do or how to live. I'll tell you how to build a radio, and I'll tell you about farming, and I got a lot to say about farming and natural seed selection. That's really important to learn. But the idea is everybody's personal heart should make his decision of who he is and how he is to be responsible for himself. And that's his job. It's not some other group's job out there, or somebody telling you, or somebody forcing you, or somebody. The idea is for you to look, hear, see, and think, and grow. And so that's how I believe, and I know maybe my brother and I grew up with when I enlisted for the Army, they didn't like it, and I was shunned. But the thing of it is I believe that I love building radios with my hands, and I love building my machinery, and I love animals, and I love children. I'll tell you something, I am older, and God opened a trail for me, and I had a really hard struggle with this one. I am 69, and I have 3 kids that I'm trying to get back to Alaska, and these guys wouldn't have had a chance maybe without me, but with me, they have a future. And so I'm trying really hard to do that. I believe in God's grace is sufficient. for everyone. Anyway, it's the middle of the night, and this is a hard thing to do in the nighttime, but I'm going to tell you something. My brother and my friends that are watching me in my home area and everything, understand this. I'm coming back, and I'm going to fight as hard as I can, and I'm going to leave no stone unturned, and I'm going to teach the truth of what everything is happening, and I am going to do everything I can to protect our way of life, and I'm going to do everything I can to expose what's really happening, and I'm going to show the truth in things in the government that people won't touch. They won't touch. My neighbors won't touch. Everybody runs away. Everybody hides. And I have left 3 times trying to be a peaceful man, but this time it's going to be the First Amendment out loud. The thing of it is, the rule of law has to work. If you're going to love your neighbor, you're going to have to really love your neighbor, and that's his rights. You know, we are not perfect people. We all got things we do wrong, but this is one thing we can do. We can care about each other, and we can protect the Constitution of the United States to help each other stay free. And I'm telling you that that's a personal decision out loud. You know the saying about drugs and trouble and drunk driving and all that stuff, just say no. This is the rule here. You want to protect the Constitution and your way of life and freedom, just learn how to say no. I won't do that. Remember things in life, when I told you the public office, segregate and label. When you make a decision in life, segregate and label it. See what its intent does and see what it does, and then care about it. And I'm going to tell you, being able to work with your hands to build 2 radios, I think it's amazing. I am so amazed by low voltage tubes. I mean, it's just crazy how they work and how they're simple. That's why I want to show in the video a simple way to build radios. Now, there's a tube 12AU7. That is an amazing tube, and low voltage this will knock you out. And I believe in low stress, especially with seed production in farming. You know, anything when you push it to the limit is important. And so, ladies and gentlemen, in Indiana, Alaska, the last meeting that we had, I better conclude this thing. When we won, they come after my family and me at 100 miles an hour. They spent thousands and thousands of dollars, and I have faced the biggest pile of hatred you've ever seen in your life. And I was so depressed when I come to this over here. I was sick. I got Havana syndrome from being injured by something. I don't know what it is exactly, but I know it's real. It's put me in the hospital 3 times. Some kind of electronic damage, and I've been to the neurologist and all these things, and said, I'm going to tell you something. What you got to do in life is deal with them that you can understand and deal with, and the ones you can understand, you got to try to survive them and accept them. So I am not going to accept defeat as an American veteran. Never going to happen. My family has been loving and serving this country since George Washington. And I love it here. I love my family. My ancestors, when the Revolutionary War was over, on my mama's side, George Washington gave out the first war medal. When they're fighting the British, everybody went against America, but one Indian tribe, they stood behind Washington. And when that was over, he gave them the first war medal in America, and that was the Chickasaw. And anyway, so I understand how life can be and where it's from. I'm mostly a white guy, but I love my ancestors and where they come from. And I'm going to tell you something we're missing. We're missing in life the quiet people that build the country great, because their quiet voice should have been louder than the big loud voices. We got the cart in front of the horse. And so I want to tell you at the end of this video is right now, for now, please look at, I need some financial support and one biggest thing, I need some prayer support. And I need to go back to Alaska, and it's gonna be hot doing. In fact, I can't even say today I'm gonna show up. But the thing of it is there's no conspiracy theories. There's a good faction or bad faction, or somebody doing something, or something is organized. Don't get hooked up in these puffs of smoke, and I'm gonna sort them out. And when I get back there, first thing I'll do is I'll pray. And I got some farm machinery I need to work on, and I need to get back on my land. And I gotta come back and force a huge amount of political body to be in defeat. And I can't do that without faith, because I'm just a man. And so, but I need your help. And I'm asking you, if you're a hammer, you're opera all over the world, the First Amendment is important. And the type of guys who build radios I really like, because they're kind, they're educated, they're pretty smart, and thinking of a new way and listening to somebody else. You know, when I get on YouTube and I watch Carlson's Lab, and Paul Carlson, he's tremendously good, and I see Microwave, and I see that one glass slinger with that crazy cat. I'm going to tell you, that technician at Glass Slinger, that's a smart person. And it got knowledge of all the old radios, and just takes the heavy soldering iron and just lights up the world. And I really like that. And I like building with my hands. You know, I build old tractors and old trucks, and I like to make them new. And I modify them, and I've done things with old tractors you want to go. I want to tell you, I'm getting older, but I have a bucket list. And I guess to get to know somebody's personality, you should know about them. One of them is that I have an amplifier, it's called an FL2100, it's a Yasu, and I had this thing, and when I lost everything on my farm, somebody went in there for me, and I couldn't go there. Unbelievable, that's another story in itself. I wouldn't be here right now, I'd be in heaven if I went there. But I had somebody else had gotten some of my stuff, and I got that one amp out, and I had trouble with that amp. It has 2 Russian tubes in it, and what are they, 572B or something. Anyway, my idea with this and my bucket list is I want to take that amp out, and a lot of ham radio guys ain't like this, but I'm going to build a chassis frame like this, and I'm going to take that amp apart, and I'm going to put it together with the tubes pointing up, and I'm going to modify some things in there and change it, because them Russian tubes are amazing. And I want to take that amp and reconfigure it, and then I want to use it that way, and because it is condensed so much and and it's but the basic design is pretty nice, and so I want to put a soft start in it, and I want to modify it, and I want to make it a bigger amp in its frame, and keep them 2 Russian tubes in there. With 2 Russian tubes will put out a lot of kick, I'll tell you what, they're amazing. Russians do a lot of good things when it comes to old electronics. They're pretty sharp, and anyway, and we got to be careful about, you know, how we talk about things in life maybe, but I'm going to tell you something, I do not support any war in Ukraine. There's just no way, because that people in Europe, they fight 300 years. When they get mad at each other, they remember back 250 years ago, and they still got a family and a prejudice against that one. George Washington warned us about getting into European wars. And I have a lot of mixed feelings about that. The biggest thing I have, and I'm going to tell you what I would do if I was president of the United States. That's pretty simple, since I'm not going to be. I would be going with my diplomats, and I would be going to the Russian Orthodox Church. And I would be saying, we have these charges coming of humanitarian reasons and all these things in the war in Ukraine. And I would go to the Russian Orthodox Church, and I would say, we need help for these people. What can we do? I'm going to tell you, Putin is a supporter of the Russian Orthodox Church. There's a peaceful way to do things. You know, it takes a bigger man to leave his rifle home and put out his hand and say, I want to make a new friend. I mean, that's the way to do it. Abraham Lincoln had said, the best way to get rid of an enemy is to make a friend. And so I'm here telling you I'm coming back to fight, but I don't want to do it in a bad way. I believe in the rule of law, but I'm going into a war. I mean, I'm going back to a state that's very far away from the Constitution, far away from the checks and balances system of government. And it is bad there right now, but not the people. You gotta love thy neighbor. So I'm going back. I want my farm back. I want to get back on my tractor. And I'm going to tell you, my big worry in life, and the biggest thing I've got, if I got a Jenny mule, and I've got a good dog, and I got my machinery running, I'm in heaven. You know, I never owed any money on my farm. When I closed my farm down, when they stopped me, I was owed $10,000 for a hay crop, and my political adversary stopped them from paying me. It got so bad that it got into a deal where I had to call the FBI. And I'll touch that really quick, I guess. I was owed money, and a man had 9 mules, and he owned a hydraulics company, and he used these mules for different things, and he owed me a lot of money for hay. We made a deal that it would give me $9,500 of gold, and I said, look, I gotta have the money because I'm in court fighting for my land. And then he agreed, and I said, be sure, because this is a lot of work for me. Producing that much hay and hauling it to your place, that's a huge job. That's a lot of hay. And I said, and farming, that's a tremendous amount of work. So I harvested all the hay on my farm, and I got another farm that was selling out. And I harvested his hay, and I delivered it all, and he wouldn't pay me, because these people in Indiana that is running everything, they're powerful, and he won't pay me. So then I'm at my friend Mark's house, and then I've got my cell phone turned on, and he calls and he says, I got your money. I thought, oh my goodness, hallelujah. Man, I'm getting blessed today. And I went to get my money. Well, Mark is with me, so Mark shows me his pickup. I'm feeling pretty ill from this stupid Havana thing. And anyway, so I get over there, and Mark is with me, and Mark and I mined 30 years ago. I had a gold mine 30 years ago. And Mark was mining a little ways away. I knew Mark a long, long time. Anyway, so Mark, my friend, is with me, and then we go there, and then he sees Mark, and he's all nervous to show up at the office where I delivered the hay. And then he's really nervous. He's shook up, and then he goes to Mark, and he says, oh, I'm sorry, but I don't have the money. And Mark said, but you just said you had it. And the guy says, well, I don't have it. And then Mark said, hey, there's something really bad here. They drew you over here, and they don't have the money. And Mark, he says, we're getting out of here quick. So we left, and then never did get paid for the whole season. See, $10,000 in hay in Alaska. That's a whole season of work. That's 2.5 months, 10 hours a day. And if you got old machinery like me, you know, an old sickle bar mower and everything by hand, that's a lot of work. So we don't get paid, and then he's not paying me. This is looking really suspicious. So I got back. I got to thinking about it a while, and I said, well, I can't really call a state trooper because the state's the one trying to get rid of me. So then I think, well, I got Mark as a witness. He heard the phone call. He went over there. I called the FBI. That was a big mistake. Anyway, the FBI guy, finally, he says, listen, you can fill out your own report and make a complaint. He said, I said, well, I'm not a police officer. And I'm a federal officer. He says, but he was very a socialistic kind of person. I don't think he liked me right off. But anyway, nothing happened. But I do believe, ladies and gentlemen, in nonviolence. I believe in law enforcement. But I'm going to tell you, in the last 4.5 years. The only law enforcement I've seen is one trying to get rid of me. I mean, it's hard to be a police officer. I have a friend in Alaska right now I want nothing to do with. I won't talk to him, I won't say nothing, because if he gets involved, he's gonna get fired. I know he's gonna get fired, so I won't talk to him, because he'll lose his career, like the old U.S. Marshal was going to lose his career. But I don't want to hurt anybody, you know. I have my background is to be pacifist and to be forgiving and be an example, and, you know, not to be a warrior. Now, I was a warrior in the Army, you know, I was a Sergeant 11 Bravo, but that was my job. And I am older, and I'd like to have a peaceful life. And so, ladies and gentlemen, please thank you for watching my channel and sticking with me. I know this is the middle of the night for me, and this is my second go around. But after my phone calls I got from Alaska today, I thought I better step up the ante and explain more what's going on, because I was requested to have a better explanation. And so, I'll tell you the controlling interest in Alaska is bad. There's a socialist globalist movement, and there's a Utah politician movement, and they are working together, and they are rough. Now, when my friend Joe Vogler was murdered, they put a man in prison. We're really pretty sure right now he didn't do it, but he did kill somebody. And there's a lot of things in life. We can't go through life and being a police and cleaning everything up and judging everything. You know, that's not my way of doing it anyway. But there's a point in life when you back up so much, you got to come back out. And that's where I am. You know, when I read the Bible and it talks about Gideon overrun and how God used him, you know, them kind of things are real in life, and they're important. And so I thank you for watching me. Understand, ham radio to me is the First Amendment around the world. AARL has built a ham radio system where everybody in other countries are talking back and forth. That is freedom. Benjamin Franklin would love to see the First Amendment on a ham radio today. He would be one happy man, because he would really love that. You know, Barry Goldwater, he saved us from a lot of conflict when he had his ham radio from the U.S. government. You know, he tried hard, and he loved. I'll tell you something about him, because his accountant's history, there's what taught me how to do business, so some of them people. So I know a little about him. But anyway, Barry Goldwater, is from Arizona, and he loved the culture of the American Indian. He took photos of it, he talked about it. He loved the way of life and how people were reasoning and thinking. And so anyway, we had a lot of great Americans. I gotta get off here. We had a governor, Wally Hickel, in Alaska. And I'm going to tell you, he ran the governor with his wife when he was governor. And I'm going to tell you something. She was a tremendous woman to work with her husband when he was a governor. And they tried to fire him. They did everything against him, because he was an Alaska Independence Party governor. They threw the book at him. She got behind him and on the radio stations and helped him. And she saved the day. You know, and there's blessings in life. You know, they're both gone now. They're both passed away. But he married an angel, that fellow, in my opinion. Anyway, God bless you, and have a good day. And I talk a lot, because that's what this movie's kind of about, talking, I suppose. But please understand, the freedom of the Bush Alaskan, the last frontier, is in jeopardy, and I want to push it back. And I want to go on my farm, and then I want to be left alone. And I'm asking you, if you're a ham radio operator, a small farmer, I need some help, because some other kind of people aren't going to help me. And I am 69 years old. I'm not going to go out today and build another company and make my money all back I lost. But I can get back on my land, and I can help others. And I got children here I'm helping that I want to give them an education in America and get them some freedom. And it is very dangerous here in some ways, and I can't talk about it, but I want to give back to life. And life is not about taking, it's about giving, and freedom is earned. Anyway, God bless, and thank you for watching my channel.